welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. This is about getting the power down, and already you can see we've got a big kick out from the start here. Now, some of these teams are going to try and put people in trouble early.
There's 11 riders in that leading group in Category 3 and 16 riders in that leading group in Category 2. That is 27 riders altogether. Are 27 riders going to come out the other time? The catch is really interesting.
Here we go. It's going to be Celine Colombi. She overturns the finals result from last month. She takes away top spot. Your winner of Qualifier Race number 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, Celine Colombi, takes the victory. Here we go. Hadlock is here. Hadlock's on the right shoulder. She goes over the side. The response comes from Hadlock. Koistenen's going to kick again. Koistenen now kicks. Koistenen takes the win. So Mina Koistenen wins Category 1 and the race from Hadlock. The first rider across the line here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club on Qualifier Race number 3. It's the women's race. Kate Shadin takes the win in Category 2. It is going to be a win here today. Myra Madeira solos to a race victory on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, our final qualifier.
Kate Shadin is going to take the win on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Category 2 for the Anzac Biscuits in the October final.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's November. In the UK, it is a bonfire night tonight, celebrating the fact somebody didn't blow up the Parliament. Here, we're expecting fireworks in the show. We're not actually in the UK. We dodged all those, and we just got a storm instead. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action. And as always, well, almost always, I'm in the studio with probably somebody who's done more shows than me over the last 12 months, Emma Martin. Emma, it's a little different studio, but the ratings are likely to be the same, full of action.
Oh, it is going to be full of action today. We are in November. We have new riders joining the Sunday Race Club for the first time in both the women's and the men's race today. I think it's going to mix it up because we've also got riders moving between categories because we saw some phenomenal performances in the final last week.
We did, and I mean, we've just seen those highlights just coming up. We've used a variety of courses, and we're over to Australia today.
We are indeed in Australia. I love this course. The Women's Day, 35 kilometres of racing, 502 metres of climbing. We are in Wollongong, and it might be named the Wollongong Climb, but it is in Mount Pleasant. So it is going to be a cracker. So 2 300-metre sprints along the way. 2 Category 4 climbs, and it is indeed the same climb. This is a lapped course. It's a 2.1 kilometre climb with an average gradient of 4.8%, but it is so deceptive. You go up the first kicker, which will top 10%. You drop down, then you climb again. The second kicker tops 17%, and it is absolutely crucial you are with the leading group as you go over the top, because otherwise you won't be with them at the finish.
Yep, the knife edge tops to part 1, part 2, and in fact, the little spike, the little shark fin afterwards are critical because they're so sharp. When you hit the top, you've got to drop back down the other side, and that really is key because you're going to move very, very fast off into that descent.
And what else is also key is the fact there is a lot of climbing on the rest of this course as well.
Well, we'll go into that in more detail, but let's get our riders up and away. We're going to start off with Category 4. This is our standard category, which is our standard level, which has some great riders, including the Volcano team, with Bridget Bremner in here, the inspiration mastermind behind the Breast Cancer Awareness Month last month, and the ride on Saturday. Great to see so many people riding on that, but it is a pretty packed field as well.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Bremner took 3rd place in that final last week. But we've also got Alkabi here today, Sai, Gill, Moya, Ruby, Kirchner, Sarasuk, Lloyd. They are all here today. So is Myra Madeira. She took 4th last week. We've got some of the riders going up. So De Gracia moves up to Category 3. And for me, that's fantastic.
So here we go. It is race start. It is go, 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 go. It is the time to hit to the throttle, put your foot on those pedals and start squeezing because we are on our start here. Now our pack are rolling out on qualifier number 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday race for November. And this pack already just seen a few splits starting to occur in here. Just a few gaps opening up. We're in with Denise Race at the moment. Just kicking away from Brazil, 3.3 watts per kilo, strong start, and 4 riders just starting to open a little bit of a gap. We've only gone a matter of meters, 300 meters, and already the pressure is on.
Well, there were some very strong kicks off that start line today, Matt, and I think that's what's caused this stretch. I think we're going to see it come back together again, though, because, you know, the pace has now come off the front, but I did see some really big numbers coming off of that start line, and that would have caught some of our riders unaware because, you know, normally we see a fairly steady start on this course because of the nature of it, and we have a fairly flat run in to the city, and then as we come up onto the bridge, we have our first big kicker. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show there's 2 category 4 climbs today, but that is only 200 meters of the 502 meters of climb on this course. It is an exceptionally rolling course today with some very, very steep little kickers across the profile.
And resting on these sections, other than this one flat section that we get, this run past the pens and into this first rise is key. So getting your rest on those downhills, making sure that you're trying to get that heart rate down, because if you're trying to go flat out, you're going to be in trouble as you make your way in through. That's going to be really, really tricky. You can't go on the red all the way around the course, just not possible. So what you want to do is to go in the red and recover, because if you just ride steady state here, you're probably going to find yourself not at the front, because it does encourage, and we see this time and time again, attacking, aggressive racing where people put themselves in the red and recover.
Yeah. And you've got to watch this course. You've got to constantly be alert on this course because you have to stay in that front group. And we've already seen a split here. So we've got 9 riders in category 4 now with around a 15-second gap back to the rest. And that was because of that really fast, hard start. And they've not closed that gap down. They really needed to work to close it because now those 9 riders are clear. They can stay clear on this type of course.
They can. So the one place that you maybe could get people back is on that very first ascent as you come up in, because the speed of the front group will slow. You're going to come charging in. If you can get onto the back and then go through, you've got to hope, but that gap has really opened up. So about 50% of the race field in category 4 hitting the climb. You can see it ramping up in front of our riders with less than 3 minutes of racing under the wheels.
And it's Kirchner and Sarasuk who are leading the charge here, Matt.
Yeah, and they know this course. I mean, they're experienced riders in category 4, aren't they? And we see them riding regularly on MyWhoosh, which is really good to see. You can already see the red chevrons kicking in on the right-hand side of your screen. That indicating that the riders are digging into the red zone. It's really that simple.
Yeah, and Kirchner's there, Sarasuk's there, Nicola Lloyd is there now. She's a punchy rider as well.
Yeah, very much, and I think this could be a course that really suits her with that kick and a response. But you can just see starting to break a little bit of a gap, and once you get some air between you and the rider in front, you've got to get that close down, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. You can just see Maria Gill at the moment of 4 seconds, Sai currently at 8 seconds, Race further back as well. That is a very dangerous thing to happen, because you could just get left behind and have to wait for the next group, because that's what I would be doing.
Yeah, but this is really, really interesting because the push on the front here from Kirchner really, really pushing on. We're now seeing the stretch on the front group of 9 almost touch the front of the back of the next group. So this is going to be really, really interesting. Are we going to see 3 or 4 riders go away this early in the race, or are we going to see that entire group come back together again? I think we're going to see a break stay.
That would be really interesting. That's why I love this course. It really does provoke really interesting racing. Let's see if category 3 can do the same as some great riders in here. We have a big packed field of individuals. Good to see Rona Tanglin on the Hubstone rider coming back and racing hard again. We've got Golden Light from Team Golden Light in the mix, and a lot of riders really who are in there, and new riders as well.
Yeah, so Chantilly, Ospina, Arrayas, all here, as well as Haino, you know, who performed really well. De Gracia's come up from category 4. She won the race in the final. And Vink has dropped back down from category 2. So this could be seriously exciting. Well, they are in the start pen. They are under orders and away for Qualifier 1 in November. It's the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is Category 3 in the women's race. And those blue jerseys are up and out of the start pen. They are heading towards the city. We are in Australia. We are on the Wollongong course. And for me, this is going to be a really exciting race.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see if they can split the group early. I'm not sure I'd want to necessarily do that. I'd want to have just that little steadier start. I mean, you know, I know I'm notorious for coming out of the cafe and putting my foot on the floorboard and really giving it some beans on the bike, but it's not the best tactic because you generally go into the red sooner. For me, really interesting to see who's on the pace and who just eases themselves in a little bit. You've got that on this course. It's the only time you're going to get that.
Well, these riders have warmed up before they took the start pen. No cafe legs here.
Ugh.
So they are up, they are out, and they are pushing on. And this group, unlike Category 4, they are still all together. So a large group of riders so far. I know we're not even 1 kilometre into this 35-kilometre race, but the group are all still together. And this, I'm looking at the pace here, and the pace is pretty steady. We've got one rider just distance a little bit off the back, but this pace, it's a good pace to come out of the pen out.
I think that was commentator's curse, the legendary commentator's curse. The moment you say it's all together, it'll split. And the moment you say it's all split, it'll all come back together again. So the group's looking good here. I mean, we've got a big pack of riders, and we went through a few of our riders earlier on. And when you look back in terms of October, it was quite a lot of riders who were up in those top 5 positions, weren't there?
Oh, yeah, it was indeed. And, you know, the October racing was so competitive. You know, in all of the categories, you know, in this category, Madeira, De Gracia, Gill, Mare, Galeno was there, Bremner was there, Kircher was there, Mull was there. You know, we just had an absolute raft of riders picking up those top 5 spots.
And of course, top 5 spots result in money, and we'll work our way through that, I'm sure, later on in the show. But we're going to keep our eyes on the riders because we're just coming around this left-hand bend for the riders. Going to be into the right-hand chicane, and then it is a tight right turn. The spectators at the side go wild for our riders as we come up on to the climb. Now, this is where things get tough. This is where we saw the group come together and split, and we saw those red chevrons coming in, and De Gracia already starting to kick clear at the front here. She's got company with Vink behind and Giuliano, and if you're going to pick 2 riders probably to go, or 3 riders, I would be going with Gentili, De Gracia and Vink to go for it from the word go.
Well, De Gracia has come up from Category 4 today. This is her first race in Category 3. Now, she was a very aggressive rider in Category 4 and was regularly awarded with wins and top 5 positions because of the nature of her racing. It's really interesting to see that she's employing the same tactics in Category 3. Will it last? Can she hold the pace? This is a better quality race field than Category 4. It's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting. I think for me, one of the key things here is this course should suit her. It should suit that push and come back. But the way for me to improve and to move into the category isn't to be conservative in your riding. You're not going to get quicker. You're not going to improve doing that. And that's one of the main things about MyWhoosh, isn't it? We want to watch our riders getting better and improving, being fitter, being healthier, being faster, being able to race more competitively, aggressively, whatever category that's in. And what, for me, is key is to jump in with the group. When you move up a category, try and stay with that group as long as possible. Now, this is quite difficult on this course because of the nature of it. It is very much attack and ease, attack and ease. We've seen an attack, we've seen the push, we've seen it split the group. So Category 4 and Category 3 splitting on that first climb, and it's not now going to come back together. Category 4, we've got Kirsten with a lead group up the road, so that's certainly looking very strong. Will Category 2 do the same? It is highly likely because Grandma Gears have riders in here, Hadlock, Howeiler and Kekkonen, but they're up against some very strong riders and some more new riders.
Yeah, so this is a great race field again. So Alzat, Miller, Gianti, Smithers, Stefania, Sanchez has come up. McAlpine has regularly been having top 5s. Lytton is here, but we do have 3 new riders in here. Estela, Rona and McClure all coming in brand new from a wide range of backgrounds.
So our runners ready to roll. Here we go. It is a Category 2 away, our penultimate group of riders. 5 minutes between each group. They are going to have two groups of riders, or two categories of riders, should we say, down the road, because they're already smashed into a lot more than two groups out there. There are riders all over the course here in Wollongong in Australia on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for our first qualifier. And it's a tough course. No massive long ascents, but lots of really interesting terrain that's going to really break up what the riders get up to and how they ride this course. So for me, this is going to be killer because Category 2 is tough.
Yeah, it is indeed, and it's going to be really good. But no Tridden, because Kate Tridden, who has been dominant for the last few weeks, has moved up to Category 1. And Botero, who took second place last week in the final, not here today.
So the two top riders previously not with us, which means it's opened the field up a little bit. We've got those three new riders, Estelle. We've also got Rona and McClure. We've got our strong regular riders, people like Lytton, Schroeder, McAlpine, Sanchez. I mean, it really is a who's who. But Grandma Gears could work as a team today, and that would be a very strong move. We do see the teams. We've seen them attacking en masse at times on the Sunday Race Club. It can happen, and if they get that right, it would be a good course to do that.
And it's a strong team, Grind My Gears. You know, Hadlock, Holweiler and Kokkonen. Grind My Gears took the win in this category in the team competition by 47 seconds from the Anzac Biscuits last week.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference, doesn't it? It really does, because, you know, they are strong. They work as a team. If you can get that bit of help, that little bit of assistance when you're having a bad patch, that could be just the rider sat in front just giving you that draft. It could just be that bit of encouragement down the Discord channel, over the communication that you get with MyWhoosh. That can make all the difference.
Oh, completely and utterly can make the difference. And you've got your team, you've got the option of having that team talk channel open. You know, so they can hear you, you can hear them, and you can have that conversation about what's going on, and you can shout if you need a draft, if you need a wheel.
And that's always going to be helpful for riders on a course like this, where we do get the gaps opening, breaking, coming back together, breaking, coming back together. Now, to the left-hand side of your screen, you can just see the City Beach Sprint being flicked up Myra Madeira with the current fastest time of 30 seconds. Goes through there, 30.035. That sprint's coming at 5.5 to 5.8k, so that's 300 meters. However, a lot further down the road, more pressing, probably on our Category 2 group's mind, is this climb. At the moment, though, a bit more circumspect. We're not seeing that stretch and break, but it is so competitive in here. Even when we see people like Hadlock and Holweiler pushing on the pedals, we are still not going to see the breaks, I think. And that is one of the things. I think the riders, the further up the category as you go, the more reserve they have. So if they're riding, they can go deeper. They can push. They can maybe do, so let's say Category 4 can do an extra, they do 200% of their normal pace. You can see Category 3 doing 250%, 300% maybe over their normal pace for Category 2, and maybe even 400% for Category 1.
And I think what you also see is the fact that these are flexible categories depending upon the entries. And I think what you then find is that Category 1 and Category 2, there are so many strong women entering the Sunday Race Club. There's very little differential between their physical ability. And then what comes into play is how well you can ride the platform, how well your esports technique is, but also how your tactics play out too.
So, I mean, it's learning, it's knowing exactly what's on there. And it's not just because MyWhoosh is always evolving, and we're seeing that constant evolution, always being better today than they were yesterday. We're always seeing that constant evolution of the platform. So we see, you know, the draft dynamics, the way the pack moves, the fact you can draft and you can move from rider to rider, or break that draft. And you've got to learn all that and how and when to employ that. Well, the riders who should be able to do that the best are Category 1. They're lined up, ready to go. We've got the Risky Biscuits team here. And we have one of our Sunday crew riders, Johanna Zimmerman, with them. But Bjarhe Fjord and Koistonen, that is it's not Risky Biscuit. They're likely to break everybody else into crumbs, aren't they?
Well, they were second in the team competition last month. Spartan Obstacles took the win by 2 minutes, 16 seconds. So it was quite substantial last week. But it's great to see the return of Chiara Donny. She's on the start sheets today alongside a whole host of regulars and 6 brand new riders.
So remember, of course, the more you ride, the more you can get on the platform.
So away go Category 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. They are up and they are racing for November. This is a 28 starters on the start sheets in Category 1 today. It's a big race field for Category 1, and it is great to see the plethora of yellow jerseys coming out of the start pen.
It's a big pack. It's the biggest race field. We've got our 6 new riders in there. Julia Bramerson could well be one to watch here. We've got Roberta Bassoni, we've got Rico Martinez, Sandstorm. I mean, great to see the new riders coming in.
Oh, yeah.
But what baptism of fire, jumping into the Sunday Race Club in Category 1. This is the fast category.
Oh.
This is the one that is so strong, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be competitive.
No, I think I've had a bit of a look at some of our new riders today in Category 1, and we have a real mix of riders. We have a top 20 finisher in the Hawaii Ironman. We have a tandem pilot who tandemed to bronze in the Tokyo Paralympics. We have a Belgium road racer. You know, they can hold their own.
And it's a real mix, and that's one of the great things, isn't it, about esports and about MyWhoosh, is that not only are we getting riders from around the globe, but we're getting riders from a massive variety of backgrounds.
We are.
And that plays out. I mean, we see Karut Quevedo. I mean, she's a rollerblading multi-time world champion, you know, sprint champion. And yet she can hold her own in a sprint. She can climb. She can race against people who are maybe long-distance time trial riders.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, isn't it? Because we do see riders pop up on MyWhoosh with a skiing or a skating background. Very, very strong, huge amounts of power, and works really well on a bike.
And it does. We see that regularly. I mean, you only need to look at riders like Demi Follering. You look at riders who are at the top of the road scene. You look at the Dutch is a great example, you know. So many speed skaters and endurance skaters making that transition across in Europe and across the world, because of course not everybody is I was going to say blessed with big long canals covered in ice, but actually that's not really. I just think that's horrible. It's just cold. I'd much rather be warmer and dry. Well, and in Australia, heading in, maybe not for the very first climb of the day, because as my dad used to say, the first climb's the hardest.
Category 1, I think, are warming up nicely now for this little kicker that's about to come ahead. And it is indeed Bassoni who's pushing on at the front. Now, Roberta Bassoni, one of our new riders today. She's got Kasani, she's got Hermansen, she's got Donny, Manshandi all with her. So she's got great company today as we see them kick and we see them move. And this pack is absolutely motoring up this climb at the moment. No one wants to be dropped from this group.
Nobody wants to be dropped. You don't want to be on the back. You don't want to be the wrong side of a split as well. And that for me is the key thing here. If you are on the wrong side of the split, what's going to happen is you're going to have to go around that rider, and you're going to have to go up. You lose that draft at the wrong time, you're in trouble. You can just see here, wheels going backwards, that little group being drifted off the back. They've then got to push on. You can see left-hand side of your screen, that gap is opening up. And once the thin end of the wedge is in there, then it gets hammered home quick, particularly when you start to go into the downhill and the speed picks up.
Yeah, and if you pick up a piece that was published by Zach Nair this week in one of the cycling magazines in the States, which you can get online, he talks about MyWhoosh and he talks about the pack dynamics and he talks about the draft, and he says absolutely categorically the hidden message in his article is you must get on, you have to ride, you have to learn how to handle it, you've got to learn the technique if you want to be successful racing on the Sunday Race Club.
And you know, I've had the joy, let's say, of riding on lots of different platforms over the years. Some of which have made it, some of which haven't, some have disappeared. They all ride differently because they're all designed differently, and they've all got a different aim in mind. And MyWhoosh's aim of giving us really great, accurate, and honest racing really works. But you do have to ride it. It is different, and because of the way that the systems work, so some of them are based on your machine, some of them are based in the game, some are based at a main HQ, some of them are dependent on Bluetooth, some have time lag, some don't. The way it rides, the way it feels, the skills that you use, the way that you draft, the best position in the pack, it varies.
Well, it's like any discipline.
Yeah.
All disciplines have their own techniques and skill sets. This is exactly the same as that. It has its own technique and skill set, and you have to learn it.
And you do, and if you're riding, I mean, let's pick cyclocross, because in the northern hemisphere it's cyclocross time. I've been out. I've had the pleasure of actually going to a in real life outdoors cyclocross race where it didn't actually rain. It was great. Unlike the European Championships, which at the moment is like biblically wet. In cyclocross, when you race a local league, whether you're racing in the States, whether you're racing in South America, whether you're racing in Northern Europe, cyclocross local event is different. You move them from that to a national level, still the same discipline, still cyclocross.
Oh, it's different.
Much different. And then you go to an international race, and it's another level again. And the way the courses ride are different as well, the way they're designed, the amount of power that you need on the longer straights, the amount of power you need for the kicks, the steepness of the banks, the ability level that's expected, it changes. And that's one of those things, isn't it? Sunday Race Club, it's our premier racing league. It is the Sunday Race Club, and that is why it is key to learn this. So the riders need to get that, and it's important because, of course, everybody wants to be a winner. Not everybody can be a winner, but we have more prize winners than we have overall race winners, because top 5 riders get prizes in each of our race categories in our qualifiers. And when we get to the month end, well, we have our team competition as well. I tell you what, let's take a look at the prize money and let's run through those prizes. What are our riders riding for? So, right hand side of your screen, qualifier races. That's where we're at for the next few weeks until we reach the end of the month, when our team classification comes into play. So in the individual classification, if you win in qualifier number 1 today in category 4, you're going to win 2,160 AED, and the prizes run through from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th down to 5th. 5th place being 432 AED. Now, category 4 is our standard level category, so great prizes there. But if you have the ability to step up into category 3, well, you're going to find you're racing for even more money. 3,600 AED for the win. What was first prize now becomes third prize at 2,160 AED, right through to 720 AED. This is, of course, for verified results, so that you've got to actually be able to do this. It's no good having a turbo trainer or the atmosphere in the room change and your power meter read wrong. That's not going to cut the mustard. You've got to be in there. It's got to be an accurate race reading. That's one of the great things about the racing here on MyWhoosh. Now, if you have the power to move from category 3 to 2, and you can get those race results, when we go to category 2, it's a step up again. First prize becomes third prize again. So 5th place is 1,200 AED, running right up to 6,000 AED for the win. And you'll notice as we move from categories 4, 3 and into 2 that the team classification has gone up, and at the end of the month that adds a different dynamic. If you want to know what, make sure you watch last week's finals. Please do go back and have a watch. Really great racing, really interesting racing, and very, very important to go back, have a look at it, because that's all part of learning how to race on the platform, is watching what other people do when they're racing on there. The ones to keep an eye on, of course, are our Category 1 riders, because they're the top of the tree. As you can see, that team classification that they were racing for last week would be 50,000 AED. Individual win today, well, that is massive. So for 5th place, it's 2,000 AED. For 4th place, 4,000 AED. 3rd place is 6,000 AED. 8,000 for 2nd. And a hugely, monstrously massive 10,000 AED for the win in Category 1. First place in Category 1, top of the tree, number 1 rider, fastest rider of the day. You're going to be 10,000 AED. Now, that works if you are going to go on a trip to the UAE. What better way to spend 10,000 AED but to have a trip to go see the sights that you can see riding around Arabia. Maybe go take your bike and go climb up the Jebel Yais. However, if you're not there, we have Emma's Exchange. Today on Emma's Exchange, courtesy of Google, where are we, Emma?
We are on British pounds, because we talked
Sterling.
earlier on, which we're on sterling, because we talked about Nicola Lloyd, and this course may well suit her in Category 4 today because of the power-based rider that she is. Well, today, 10,000 AED would be £2,200 sterling.
£2,200 sterling.
And I can
GBP.
tell you that that is a bigger prize pot for first place in Category 1 than a number of European or World Championship events.
Wow. Very nice. Very nice.
So if you wonder how the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club prize pot compares, it compares exceptionally favourably with getting outside and racing in real life at a very high level. So jump on the Sunday Race Club, get that technique dialed, get that skill set dialed, and get in with the bunch and get racing. Now, to do that, you need to head over to mywhoosh.com, head over to the website. Everything you need is there. Now, obviously, you can download the app there, you can jump on, you can learn how to ride the platform. If you head over to the events page, you can click on the Sunday Race Club. You'll get all the information there about how to ride and race on the race club, how to enter, how to ensure you have a verified ride. It is all there in the rule set and the technical guide. Jump on, come and join us. It's not too late to join us next week and still qualify for the November final.
Indeed, two verified rides to qualify for those finals with that team prize in there as well. We really do love it when the teams get together. It really makes for some interesting dynamics. As mentioned earlier, you can see what difference it makes by watching it back. So where can you watch? Really easy. You can watch on MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV. Really good platform. Great, particularly if you're going to watch live. So if you're going to watch this whilst you're racing, and a lot of the teams do, a lot of the riders will have more than one screen. One screen of the race on, one screen with the show on. To watch the show gives you different camera angles because you're always going to be watching you on your main screen. However, on your side screen, you can be watching what else is happening in your race when we show it. And we do try and show as much of every single race category, 1, 2, 3, and 4 as possible. Obviously, we can't show all 4 all the time. However, we do try and show as much action from all of our race categories. As you can see, Category 3 currently on the climb of Wollongong, making the way up on part 2 of that climb. And you can see our race leaders nicely pushing on here in the red. You can also watch on YouTube. Please do subscribe to both. Give them a follow on there. It's really, really important. The more people that watch, the more people that subscribe, the more bums we get on bike saddles out on the course. It's really that simple. The more we can get people enthused and out on racing, we want to see loads of people racing. It's a fantastic platform. If you are online and subscribing to those, don't forget, of course, you can follow MyWhoosh on social media. Great place to pick up lots of tips, the latest news. So you can see MyWhoosh on Instagram, you can see it on Facebook, you can go on to Twitter, which was formerly the platform known as X, and of course you can follow us, so it is at Matt Fixer Paint and at Biking Emma. One of the riders that we follow is Lisa Hermansen. Just can't ask you to Lisa on screen. I was going to pick on a rider that we follow. Well, we follow Lisa Hermansen back, so if you do follow us, we're likely to follow you back, which is always good news. And it's a great way for us to find out about those riders. Now, Lisa Hermansen, great rider, and even if you don't follow her on social media, her story on the way through these categories, I mean, she's really improved, hasn't she, Emma?
Yeah, so very much part and parcel of that Category 2 race field when she came in. Now part and parcel of Category 1. She's really worked her way through this to 5th place in the final last week in Category 1. You know, strong team, and it's great to see the number of Swedish riders actually part and parcel of this, and I think they really, really work together. Now take a look on the left-hand side of the screen, because that is Lisa. She's in the studio. She's on your screen in real life. And as the avatar, she's pushing at around 4.1 watts per kilo at the moment. So up and out of the saddle, pushing on those pedals, because there's a small rise here. It's just dropping down the other side. They are coming in to the climb. This is going to be really interesting.
So Lisa Hermansen on your screens. On the left-hand side now, what we can really see here, you can just see that pedal cadence there, just easy enough. Watch the souplesse here, the suppleness and the smoothness of the pedaling. Now, this is somebody who rides regularly, because you can tell by the way that they're moving their feet around. So one of the things I always watch out for is ankling. There you are. It's a really important thing. So it's real technique.
It is.
So when you push with your pedals around, what tends to happen is your foot will flick around the base of the pedal stroke. So you'll see as Lisa's feet go around, she hits towards the bottom of the pedal stroke down there. Toe flicks round and it keeps that spinning. It's using those calf muscles. It's using that round. Somebody like, I'm going to show my age here, Joey McLaughlin. Here you are. It's a blast from the past for riders who maybe watched the Peace Race or the Tour of Britain way back when in the 80s, or watched the Tour de France because he's part of the ANC Halfords team back in the 1980s. He had the most amazingly flexible ankles, but he was one of the best riders ever. He, though, is very similar to Lisa's here. Great to see that movement there. Lisa's still actually able to smile
smiling.
There. So,
Look
hello,
at
Lisa. Congratulations on moving up into Category 1. Congratulations on a 5th place last week as well. It's looking like this group is together and everybody's going well. However, we are about to go into our climbs, and this is where things get really tough. And this is where that smoothness, well, this will be tested, because it's very easy to look smooth when you are taking it steady in the pack, but when you hit the climbs, much more difficult. Now, taking on board some fluids there, really key, isn't it, for our riders to take them on board. And interesting to see that she's there ready for this climb.
Yeah, completely. As they start to swing round and they start to take a look, and you can see on the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see that profile about to come in, and you can see what is ahead of Lisa and the rest of this pack. She's up towards the front here with Columbi, with Larson, with Kong. Some really good racing here. As you can see, the polka dot banner indicating the start of the Wollongong climb. Now, the first part of this climb will kick to 10%. They will drop over the top and then hit the second riser, which gets even steeper, up to 17%. They will then go up and over the top, and then the long run back through to the next lap, when this is the same climb again. So 2 climbs, but it's the same climb. It is a lap, as Hermansen goes in with Embring, with Larson, with Koinstinen, all of them going into that climb together.
So left-hand side, the Category 1 leaders going into the climb. You can see the profile on the top right-hand side of the Category 1 screen, showing Part 1 and Part 2 of the climb. On the top right-hand side of the Category climb on Category 4, they're on the way down. In fact, they're on the descent on the far side, and they made their way down. You can see that they're still descending off. At the moment, it's just a slight gradient, -1%, and increasing. They've just gone over a little plateau. They're going to drop down, but it's not all over yet, because as Emma was saying earlier, there is a lot of climbing out on the course further round. So to the end of the descent, there is a bump. There is the Vink attack point. It is the spiralling overpass where the road, you come off on the slip road off to the left, it spirals over the road you've been on and down out towards the start finishing those pens. Really key point to attack.
Well, we did say that Category 4 race was a light, and it looks like it's Madeira and Gill, 2 riders now off the front. So what was 9 and became 5 has now become 2 in that Category 4 race. This is the Category 2 race, and they are working their way onto the back of the Category 4 race, which started 10 minutes before they did. So Smithers, Hadlock, Garcia, Kokkonen are the riders at the front of this Category 2 race, and they're the riders just coming up and over the Category 4 riders. Now, you take a look on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. I love this graphic. I love this shot. It really tells us what's going on in the racing. And at the moment, you've got the green jersey Category 2 riders coming up and through the Category 4. They've already gone past some of the Category 3 blue jersey wearers, but that is the mountain on the left-hand side, bottom of the screen, and the riders going up here. So Marcel Smithers pushes on in this Category 2 race. Hadlock and Garcia and Kokkonen are working hard to stay with her. On the right-hand side of your screen, well, that's the front of the Category 3 race, and it is Ella Vink who is pushing on the descent. She's continuing to push on the downhill, and now that is a phenomenal tactic, because it creates a momentum and acceleration, and it really can catch riders out, because they expect when you get onto a descent to take a deep breath and get some recovery, and hence a perfect attack point if you know what you're doing. And Ella Vink, well, she knows what she was doing. She dominated Category 4 for some time. She progressed to category 3, and this is where she's put in a 13-14 second gap on this descent. Phenomenal racing from Vink. Big group behind though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders in the chasing group.
And a rider who did this in category 4 time and time again takes those tactics. She's been in category 3 a while, but I think it's about a month, is it?
No, she went up to category 3 for 1 week and then progressed to category 2, and now she's come back down from category 2 into category 3.
So pushed herself up, but not quite as competitive, so dropped back into category 3. In category 3 now, really, really interesting. She's using this same tactic, attack and set a pace. She can now ride at her pace. She doesn't have to follow. She doesn't have to chase wheels. She knows that she can sit when she is riding at a pace. She can use the riders in front as well, which is really key.
And that is a key motivation as well, because actually as a category 3 rider, you've got the category 4 riders ahead of you. When you do go on a lone breakaway, a lot of riders are motivated by keeping the gap, staying ahead. Others are motivated by the chase. And actually she's got both here now. She's got the motivation to stay ahead. She's 20 seconds clear at the moment. But she's also got the motivation to chase, because she's got 4 category 4 riders up the road ahead of her. So looking at that category 4 race, it's Madeira in 1, Gill in 2, then it's Lloyd in 3. We said this would suit her, this course, and then it is Cristobal Grace Paulo. So really strong riding here. That's the top 4 in the category 4 race. We are on the climb with category 1, and no doubt about it, Catherine Fuhr, she is leading this out at the climb. She spent the summer specifically working on her climbing, because that was one of the, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, weaker parts of her arsenal. It is now not a weakness at all, but a strength.
That's like saying a frigate is a weak part of your fleet
instead
of a battleship. Because she's still really good.
No, she wasn't bad to start with.
No,
but she identified, you know, where she needed to work, and she put a plan in place, and off she went, and she executed that plan, and it is paying off absolute dividends. So focused, committed, and she leads this group of category 1 riders under the polka dot banner, signifying the end of the first time up the Wollongong climb.
And now it's key to watch. See who has been watching, see who knows how this course rides, because this is now the descent. Fuhr changes into the polka dot skin suit, which is the indicator that she's scored maximum points so far on the way through. Really interesting now. So Fuhr on the descent. What will happen behind? We normally will see a coming together of riders in groups. However, and it is a big however, we've got Fuhr, we've got Lytton, we've got Columbi, we've got Erehek, but then it is a 20-second gap to the riders behind, and they are moving quick. Now that's going to yo-yo up and down, because at the moment these riders have just gone over the little bump and are descending. Behind those riders are about to hit that little bit of a bump that will change, because the distance is shown in terms of relative speed. It is not worked out by doing an old school time check with riders just coming past a fixed point and the clock starting and then finishing. You can see a really accurate guide on the left hand side on that satellite navigation view. It's like having your own personal radar behind you or in front of you to see what's coming. You can see when you're going to come up on riders, when you're going to start to get draft. What's happening? Is the group breaking? Is it coming together? Are they starting to close down on you? What does that distance look like? What shape is that group? Is it a long line where they've really got the pressure on? Is it a big blob, a big massive riders coming after you? Really, really key. So category 1 over the top. Fuhr with the fastest time up the climb, 5 minutes 46.334, 2 seconds quicker than Erehek. It's also nearly 3 seconds faster than Columbia, but look at the times after that. 12, 13, 15, 18 seconds. But Kate Tredin, really interesting. She came through in 8th. Rider who's moved up from category 2. You've also got Bassoni, who we were talking about earlier on. She was in 7th place going up there. Well, so really, really in and engaged with the racing.
Yeah, and Janti Garcia and Smithers, the 3 quickest Category 2 riders, 19th, 20th and 21st. Idzik and Hinau Giuliani, fastest Category 3 riders, 30th, 31st and 32nd on the fastest. And Madeira and Gill, those 2 riders, definitely the quickest in Category 4 because they are the 2 that made the break on the climb. So the first ascent of Matt Pleasant of the Wollongong climb is over. This is Selena Columbi. She's caught Fua, you know, so Columbi has made the catch to Fua, so has Erevek. So 3 riders now leading the Category 1 race. Phenomenal work there. Brittany Litton, the Category 2 rider, not being able to stay on. But you know what? The gap to the chasing group behind is down to 10 seconds, and it's Manshandi leading the charge behind. This is going to be really interesting. And you can see on that bottom left-hand screen on the left-hand side is all those yellow blobs trying to work to come together in that Category 1 race. On the right-hand side, that's the Category 2 leading group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders in that group working together and pushing on. So Category 2 leaders at 16.1 kilometres, Category 1 leaders at 14.5 kilometres. There's a 5-minute difference in start time between these 2 groups of riders as they continue to push on the road. Pushing on up the climb into the city for the second time. This is Ella Vink. She's going to have 1 more full lap to go because this is the run into the finish next time around. So Ella Vink now with 1 full lap to go. She's pushing on here. She's got the lead in this Category 3 race by close to 40 seconds now, and she's worked her way up to 3rd on the road. Maria Gill is the rider she can see in front of her. She's 2nd in the Category 4 race. 10 seconds further down the road is Myra Madeira. She's currently leading on the road at the moment and leading that Category 4 race. So it's Madeira and Gill in Category 4. Nicola Lloyd just behind in 3rd place. Paolo in 4th. Sarah Sook in 5th. Vink moving through. She's now 2nd on the road. Leading that Category 3 race, it's Hinau and Giuliano, 2nd and 3rd, chasing behind.
Great racing. What a great course. This Wollongong course. I've ridden the course a few times now. I have to say, I wouldn't say regularly because it's not one I'd always pick. It's tough course to ride. I think this is a course, though, that is better to race than ride in lots of ways, to jump on Sunday Race Club and race it. And that's because you're so busy concentrating on the racing, watching the action, watching who is where. Myra Madeira here, just getting company with Gill. You've got Vink coming up behind, watching that racing, watching who's coming through. If I was Myra Madeira, I'd be on that wheel like a shot because you know that Vink has come through at pace. You know that she's strong. You know that that is a wheel to watch. Madeira has jumped on board. Look at the kick there.
Yeah, that was a huge kick, and she's back right off, but that kick has put her in the right place. I mean, Vink is going to be able to continue to hold that pace. Madeira is going to have to work really hard to try. Will Vink let her stay with her? Will Vink try and shake her? I think she wants to go straight up and over. And Madeira, she can't hold it.
And the part of the problem was she was caught on the climb. So this is about knowing the platform. It's about riding the platform. Because what happened there was they came into the climb, and that is not about aerodynamics when you hit a climb of 3%. It's more about your power and your power to weight. And that is going to be more power, better power to weight ratio in the higher level categories. In Category 1 will always be higher than a Category 4 rider. So when you get Vink coming through there, had she met them on a downhill section, they would have been able to sit behind and save 20, 30, 35% hiding behind another rider in the draft. Now, doesn't mean they'll always let you do that because it is possible to break that with the new steering, which has been extended to the racing. So if, for example, you do not want somebody sat on your wheel taking advantage of that, if you want to let them have to force when you can steer across the lane. So our riders making the way down this lane here, for example, you can see our 2 riders on the right-hand side with a steering function, which is, if you're using a keyboard, a right and a left arrow key. So, for example, our setup here in full speed events is that we run on a PC. We run a separate keyboard right in front of where the handlebars are. It literally sits almost over the lever hoods. That keyboard basically allows you to steer. So if you see the riders are coming through on the left-hand side, you can move across to the left, jump in behind. If you're on the front, then you might move across to the left or to the right to avoid people. Basically, the more you press on the arrow key, the further across you go. Eat it, that is going to be. You can even get gaming pads which have pre-programmed, so you can pre-program them in to replicate what your keyboard does. So a little gaming pad you can actually put to the side of your bike, push on that, and you can pre-program the keys on there, and it'll have 5 or 6 really big keys, which is really good if, like me, you can't see straight if you're really giving it a big effort. Then what you can do is you can put that on the side, and that basically will replicate the arrow key, so you can go to the right or to the left and steer. That steering function is key. Personally, what I'd want to see, everybody on one side of the road, so they're all going to the right-hand side, I'd move to the left and go like a rocket down the side. The moment I went through, go through the bunch, steer to the left, keep on going. Not sure I could coordinate it, but it'd be well worth trying, because it might break the group. And those racecraft, that racecraft that replicates riding outdoors is what I absolutely love. It allows you to think about what you're doing on the game. It's not just about pure power, it's not just about numbers.
Well, talking about numbers, there's 6 riders here in the lead of the Category 2 race. It's Wendy McAlpine who's been dropped from this group. Surprised that, because McAlpine's been going well over the last few weeks, but Smithers now having to push on to stay in with this group. Hadlock is here, Garcia is here, Sanchez is here, Gianti is here. Kokkonen is in the group as well. So these 6 riders pushing and working really strongly in this Category 2 race at the moment. They're 19.1 kilometres into this 35 kilometre race. They've got the next big climb coming at 26.3 kilometres. So still some distance, still 7 kilometres through the city, through the rolling ground before they get to that Category 4 climb again. And then once they are at the top, it's a 6.4 kilometre run to the finish line. So coming back into the city, this is the Category 1 race. These are the riders working and working hard. Now, just up the road ahead of them, they can see the 3 leaders in their sights. There is a 12-second gap now to these 3 chasers, Manshandi, Kasani and Engstrom. So we've got 3 riders up the road, 3 riders chasing. Then there's another 11 seconds back to the next group, so there are not big gaps between these groups at the moment. The chasing group 3, Koinstinen, Gonzalez Rua, Van Hove. So these are strong riders, but there is around 10 seconds between each of these groups at the moment as they continue to push on. So Koinstinen pushing up onto the climb, 7 seconds back from Kasani, Engstrom and Manshandi. She may well be able to bridge this gap at the moment, but she's going to have to continue to work and work really hard. With 3 riders down the road, there is still 4th and 5th place up to play for, and Koinstinen, well, she wants a part of that, and she is digging deep right now to prove it.
She's going to have a big effort here. She's coming though, isn't she? I mean, this is really interesting to come across, to get into the 3 chases there. Puts her into a potential prize position. Top 5 prizes, top 5 riders who are verified are those top 5 riders. Remember, of course, all of our riders have to go through the passport. They have to go through that power passport. They have to make sure that that matches. You can't go sandbagging, doing anything daft. Got to be basically giving it everything. The more you ride on the platform, the more races, the more rides you do. Our groups, our teams, putting on regular rides. We've seen them day in, day out. Lots of great rides out there. Had the pleasure of going on a few already. We are aiming to try and get across as many as we can. We can't ride everybody's ride. We're going to try. Some of them are way too quick for me and way too slow for Emma. But, well, actually, I'm not sure that's strictly true. I'd like to see Emma stick with our Category 1 women at the moment. I think there's a big shaking of the head on the other side of the studio.
I've spent a very long time in the studio recently and not enough time on my bike.
Definitely, but those rides, the more you ride, the more rides you go on, the more effort you put in, the more training you do, on the platform, the better. And don't forget to put it on social media. It's great to see what everybody gets up to. We'd love to see whether you're riding on your own, in a group. If you join up with your mates, ping it over to us. Get it tagged with MyWhoosh. Get it tagged with Biking Emma, with Matt Fixer Payne, because we want to see when you're out and riding. If you race on the Tune Up Tuesdays, send us a picture of you on the bike. Send us a picture of the avatar. Let's see what it really looks like. Do a Lisa Hermansen on us.
Yeah, indeed. So Hermansen riding in the studio on the Sunday Race Club. The other riders riding all around the world, and it's Ella Vink who's the leader on the road at the moment. She's a Category 3 rider. She's leading the Category 3 race, and she's gone up and past all of the Category 4 riders who started 5 minutes ahead of her. She's now got 400 metres on Myra Madeira. She's the rider on the right-hand side of your screen. She's leading the Category 4 race. Note the time, 49 minutes, 54 seconds, as opposed to the 44.50 for Vink. It's the Category 1 and Category 2 races that are behind them, and this is starting to get exciting. Now, in the Category 1 race, over the top of the first Wollongong climb, we saw 3 riders go clear with a chase group of 3, and then another 3 riders further back. And now we're starting to see them all start to come back together again. So, Columbi, Fua and Erevec, the 3 riders who went away clear, that's the chase group behind. They had 12-second gap at one point, but now they are coming back onto the wheel to make a group of 6. Koinstinen is the 7th rider on the road, and she is working so hard to get back to this group.
But the odds of getting back has just been diminished, because this has changed from 2 groups to 3 to being a big group of riders that is now going to be much more difficult to catch. The more bodies you have together, the more draft is generated, the more there is to hide, more room to hide behind people, the faster that pack will go. Generally, the chances that somebody's prepared to have a go has increased, and you can see the gap to Koinstinen now is increasing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something, there's a big group behind Koinstinen coming, and you can see that on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, that great big yellow blob. Koinstinen is the rider in the middle between the 2 yellow groups. So 6 riders at the front of this Category 1 race. Then there is Koinstinen, and then the group that we are in with at the moment on the right-hand side of your screen, Hermansen is in there, Kong is in there, Embring, Trident, who's come up as well. So a real mix and match of riders at the moment, and lots of different time gaps on the road, but great to see lots of groups of riders in this Category 1 race together.
So left-hand side of your screen, your leaders, chasers on the right. So we're going to see what happens to Koinstinen. We're in with Lisa Hermansen on the right-hand side of your screen. We saw Lisa earlier on looking all cool, calm and composed, taking a drink pre-climb. Don't know whether she's going to look the same right now. You never know. We might end up going back there before the end of the race. Not sure I'd always want everybody to show me suffering on a climb, but you know what? If you've got yourself into MyWhoosh HQ, into the studios, well, do you know what? Might as well make the most of it and watch people suffer. That's mean, isn't it? But that's what you know, nobody's going to come out at the end of this feeling super cool, calm and collected, are they? They're not going to come out of this thinking, well, that was a walk in the park.
Well, not if you've raced and raced hard, and these riders are racing and racing hard. So we continue to push on in this Category 1 race, and you can see the splits in these groups now. I think Koinstinen has come back to the group behind. So this now is the 3rd group on the road in the Category 1 race.
So here we go, Hermansen leading this group over the top. It's going to go into a dip. This is where if you're not on the wheels, the gap will open. So you've got to be really smart about riding in the wheels. You can't afford to be a crazy go off the back. It's not a good move as they come speeding down this descent. You can just see the pace picking up, 50 kilometers an hour at the moment as they come down. It's going to ease through the bottom, and then you've got to kick up. And this is why being able to have that suplex, have that smooth pedaling is really key, because you're going to be going revving your way down. You're then going to push over the top of the climb. And for me, what's key, making sure that you can move smoothly, not riding so that you're in a big gear on the way down, then having to change gear. Every time you change gear on a bike, what you do is you lose efficiency. You're losing a little bit of efficiency whilst the gears change. Even with the most modern gear systems, they're not super smooth. They're not instantaneous, and you can't keep that power super fast down there. Now, move over the top. Langkong are kicking on with Bassoni, with Hermansen. They are trying to go back. Now, you can see Bassoni intruding up the road. They are just a little bit further. It's 50 seconds. This group has got to make up now. That is a big ask for me. At this stage, we're at 21.8k, and we're going to get a snapshot of how these groups are moving very shortly, because we're about to come to the beach sprint, the city beach sprint. That comes at 22.1 to 22.4k, and it's a really good snapshot of our window on the course of how these riders are riding as they come in and through. So we're going to see just how that plays out, because if we see none of our category 1 riders in the fastest positions, we know category 1 are just easing back, that they're relaxing. If we see group 1 going through faster than group 2, well, we see that they're going to be pulling the gap away, because the riders are not sprinting for prizes in this, unlike the championship. And I know I've said this plenty of times before, but I'm going to say it again. Please go back, watch the championship from earlier on in 2023. It was 7 stages across 8 days, an absolutely amazing race with some great performances. We have riders on the way in through, so really interesting to show what our riders can do, not just in the overall, but also the sprints as well. So let's have a look at those times now.
Chase group.
No.
It is.
Bassoni is in the leading group.
No, she's not.
Are you sure?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, should we have an argument?
Yeah, let's.
How about Kate?
No, let's have a difference of opinion. So Bassoni, Gonzalez, Ruhr, Van Hove, London, and Tridden all in the chase group. Eravec, Engstrom, Fua, Kasani, Manshandi, Columbi. Also, just rounding out that top 10 in that sprint. Myra Madeira from category 4, she's been pushing on because she is well up in 12th position.
And she was the rider that we saw trying to catch in with Vink.
She was indeed.
So just watching in here, Van Hove in there, Gonzalez in here as well. And
this is the chase group, because
Bassoni.
It's the Fua group that is at the front
of
this race.
So that's group 2. So we've actually got 3 groups. So here we go. Thank goodness we've got multiple screens. So group 1, right-hand side of your screen, is the Fua group. Group 2 is the group on our left-hand side of the screens. Group 3, I think there must be the one with Lisa Hermansen in there.
Back.
So we have 3 groups. So we see it split, fracture, and come back together. Good job. Emma's keeping a track on all the numbers and scribbling whilst I'm furiously trying to keep up with the action in my head.
Someone's got to know what's going on.
I don't think anybody at this stage on this course actually knows what's going on everywhere.
We do. And at the moment, it's Manshandi, it's Fua, it's Kasani. Columbi is in here as well as Eravec. These are such a strong group on the front. Now, what's really interesting is take a look on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. You can see this group working their way now through the Category 2 green jerseys. You can see some red jerseys ahead of the Category 4 riders, but you can start to see the chase group as well and how far back that chase group are. And it is going to be, I think they are too far back now to catch, but do you know what? You never know.
You don't, and we're coming into the key part, the second ascent of the climb of Wollongong. Ella Vink on her way up on the left-hand side of your screen on part 1 of that climb. You can see the profile, top right-hand side of the left-hand screen. So Ella Vink on the left-hand screen, top right-hand side of the screen, you can see that profile, the rider's position indicated by the yellow vertical line. Making her way up the climb, she'll go over part 1, she'll drop down, and then she'll be on that second part, which is the steepest part of that climb with those steep percentages in there. Behind, you can see that Myra Madeira at the moment is a substantial way back, but she is working hard. She's got a gap on the next rider, which I think is Maria Gill. That's in category 4. Gentilly, is it chasing in category 3?
No, let me tell you, Nikki Lloyd has caught Gill, and they are both in the same group now. for that second and third place by the look of that.
Okay, so it's got a big group then chasing behind at what is 1 minute 20 down on our leader on the road. Now, let's go further back down the course to the leaders in Category 1 who are making the way down here. They've picked up a few riders here from Category 2, but they are chasing. You can see the leaders in Category 2 on the right-hand side of your screen. Smithers, Giannatti, Hadlock, Garcia and co. going through the banner to start the climb. The chasers, well, they're with Category 1, but they're coming quick, and they're going to make the most of this because they're on that run-in. If they Category 2 riders can stay with Category 1, going down this road into the climb, they're going to pull back a lot of time.
Well, 5 riders in that leading group in Category 2, 6 riders in the leading group in Category 1, and we are about to go into the climb again. Category 2, well, they are on the foothills. Well, foothills at 6.8%. As we see Smithers push on again, you know, she was strong on the last climb. So Smithers moving up, Hadlock covering the move. Giannatti and Garcia are there as well. No one is going to let it go. Now she is about to work her way onto the well, I was going to say it's not the leading group, it's the chase group in the Category 4 race. They are only 20 seconds up the climb, so I expect this Category 2 group to work their way up and through the race field on this climb.
If they get them on the descent, it would be a perfect time to get on board for the riders they catch, but I think there's just too much climb in front. I suspect they're going to catch them on the climb, and that makes it so difficult. I mean, this is what we're going to see here. Category 2 riders being picked up by the Category 1 leaders, jumping in, using the draft. We're on the start now of the climb. We're going to come into the banner. You can see it's already heading for 2%, and that means that the power and the pace of our riders in yellow are going to start to put the riders in the green, in those Category 2 jerseys, in trouble. Don't forget, we've got Fua in here in that polka dot skin suit, and that polka dot skin suit is the indicator that she was the fastest rider in Category 1 up the climb last time. Now, at the end of this second climb, the points from climb 1 will be added to the points from climb 2, and then that will give us our overall climbing leader, and that is merely for bragging rights and the ability to say I was the fastest on the day. No prizes for that. Remember, of course, the prizes are for the riders across the line, top 5 riders in each of our race categories. And if you missed it on earlier on in the show, then do have a look back and you can catch up during the show at what the prize levels are, and you can find all of the information on MyWhoosh.com. What are our riders riding for, what they're racing for. This is what they are pushing on for at the moment, and at the moment you can see Celine Colombi, a great climber, squeezing the pressure out. She's really starting to push. Fua, Kasani, Engstrom, Dega Mishandi, Erahek really starting to go, and this was a mix of yellow and green. The green green jerseys have been distanced here because Howeiler, Estelle, and Montoya, Rona have all been distanced. Good ride by Monica Rona at the moment, one of our new riders in Category 2 to have stayed in this long, but you can see Category 1 are coming like an absolute express train.
Well, Colombi won Qualifier 1 in October on the Jebel Hafit in 1 hour and 18 minutes. Koisinen was 2 that day and Engstrom was 3, and Engstrom is in this group as well with Colombi. So we know these riders can climb. We know they can climb really well. Fua in the mix. Well, can you discount Fua at all today? I really wouldn't discount her in this race.
I'd never discount her, but we've got to remember that she is on the way back from an operation. So we're seeing an improvement. This is really great to see. We see that improvement from, you know, being laid up in the hospital bed to basically now working her way up and moving up through. Wow. Now, the chase group behind, they're starting to all make their way onto the same climb.
500 metres behind the leading group.
And Lisa Hermansen in here chasing down. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this group, because this is group number 3, I think, on the road. I'm going to get it right by the end of the show. As they come onto this climb, they're on to part 1, and these riders now have to make the call. Do they go at their pace, which might break the group apart and split them into 1s and 2s, or are they going to take it steady? Now you can see Lisa Hermansen now on to the climb. We're just taking a look at her pedal cadence, 67 revs per minute as she kicks around here. You can just see out of the saddle, so using the body weight, taking some of that weight on her arms, but using the body weight to push through those pedals. Now, this costs you energy. It isn't necessarily as efficient in terms of body efficiency as being sat on the saddle, but it is great when you're climbing because it does allow you to utilize all of the body muscles.
Well, Hermansen doing a phenomenal job leading this group up the climb. Lam Kong staying strongly on her wheel, you know. So Kong, a great rider who has progressed from Category 2 to Category 1 and is moving well as well. Take a look at that. Jose Zabala is the rider they are going past at the moment, and they just leave her standing.
So taking on down in MyWhoosh HQ here, whilst we've got the chance, whilst Lisa Hermansen is on our screens, we're going to just take a look now. We're not able to get a drink at the moment. You see the towel over the handlebar stand there. So if you're not too used to this, it's not that she's just going to mop her face. It protects the bike as well, because it basically stops all of the perspiration from dropping down and causing your headset to rock. Mine is in a terrible state.
The joy of racing indoors.
It is, and you see straight over the top, six back down again. This is going to be recovered. Watch Lisa Hermansen now. You see those pictures. We've got to make the most of this because we don't always get a chance.
But look at the push on coming here, because she knows that this attack needs to take place. You need to attack on this downhill. You need to get momentum in. That momentum will help you and slingshot you up the next part of the climb. It's what's creating the gap at the moment as she continues to push on. And take a look at the benefit, the knowledge and the technique that is being demonstrated to us now.
And you can see out of the saddle, but revving now, 70 plus revs per minute. She came in, she revved through, she used that speed. She was sprinting on the bike to kick on there. Well, as she takes a look across, you can see the pain on her face at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's a smile or a grimace. I think it's both gone by as she goes up here. She's leading them on to this section, but look at the grading. It's going to go up. Emma, this hits 18%. I tell you something, this is where you've got to use those gears. So the revs coming down to about 65. At what point do you change and sit down, Emma?
Well, to be really honest, it's 17.2. This is a big dig now because she wants to drop this group. She wants to make this a smaller group. She goes over the top of the climb. It is going to be absolutely crucial because it's a 6.4 kilometer run to the finish line. This is the way you need to think about this, is that the finish line of the race is at the top of this climb. So Hermansen pushing on. It's Larsen who is the only rider able to go with her, but she's got a 3-second gap on Nelly Larsen. The riders behind Embring now 7 seconds back.
So a great picture here of what it was like out on the bike on the climb. You can see we're in with Lisa Hermansen. Thank you very much, Lisa, for letting us watch you race and trying to give people an idea of just how much work goes into a race. You can see the riders making the way up. It's a long train. Now, Lisa is not our leading rider, but we are fortunate to have Lisa in the studio. She's right in the chase. She was in Group 3. They are not groups anymore. This final climb has smashed them into smithereens. There is debris in terms of multicoloured jerseys all the way up the climb. Our leader, though, I think is already through because the leading packer over the top, and it looks like Dega Mashandi has been dropped from that group.
Yeah, she has indeed. She's 20 seconds back on Engstrom. She's further back on Columbi. Catherine Fua yet again, I think. Well, not actually. I've just picked up the results. It is Erevek who set the fastest time up the climb this time. Fua in 2. So a little bit of a change around in the way it worked last time. It was Fua, then Erevek 1-2 the first time up the climb. It's Erevek and Fua the second time up the climb. 5 minutes 44 to 5 minutes 45. It is really tight at the top.
It is a joint points, so both be on 9 points. Erevek and Fua as they went over the top. Columbi, Engstrom, Bassoni, Mishandi, Tridin, and Van Hove, the current times over the top of Wollongong for the second time, and you can see that group over the top really motoring the way up there. Very similar times actually to the first time round. Now we're down with our leaders in Category 1. Catherine Fua and Martina Erehek have got Celine Columbi just behind them, just out of our camera shot. Now, literally comes into the shot. Thank you very much, Lane, there. Coming in to our shot of 3 as on this descent. Now, we've got some rises in this descent which can catch out riders if you get your timing wrong. And this is why it's important not just to ride on the platform, but also to ride the race routes. Lots of people putting in rides. For me, I'd be jumping on the rides that are with the, what was the Italian Gelato score, because they go out and they pre-ride the men's course. I'm sure Emma will be out and pre-riding on the women's courses as well. So the more group rides you do, the better you're going to be of riding these race routes.
Yeah, you are indeed. But let's just take a look at this, because these riders are absolutely flying here. Ella Vink leading the Category 3 race. She's 1.5 minutes up the road. But then this is the chasing group. And this chasing group, well, Marcel Smithers, leader of the Category 2 races, in here with Celia Garcia from Category 2 as well. So Smithers hasn't had it all her own way. 2 riders in the front of the Category 2 race, mixed in with the chasers in the Category 3 race.
So here we go, the leaders on the way down. Now, remember, we finish on the run to the line. It is a tricky finish here. Let's see what they get up to on the way down in towards finish. We've got that turn and rise. And remember, riding on here, riding these courses is so key. Hit those bumps, hit those rises, hit those falls. You've got to keep it absolutely nailed. The first group of riders on the road are chasing a solo leader at the moment, the fastest rider of the day so far, or the furthest up the course, should we say, is Ella Vink, who went solo behind the chasers in Category 3, have picked up Cecilia Garcia on the way through for company, but that is because she is absolutely flying. Smithers and Garcia have caught the Category 3 leaders. They are in the lead of Category 2, so Category 2 and 3. Furthest down the road of anybody at the moment, having passed all of the Category 4 riders.
They have indeed, and it looks like so Vink out in 1, and then this group of 9 riders are chasing.
And this group of riders here, Emma, they should, in theory, you would think, be able to pull back a solo rider.
Oh,
but look at the terrain.
It's 90 seconds and it's not flat. You know, the distance Vink now has on this group, I think, is insurmountable. What have we got now? We've got 3.2 kilometres left to go. I think if Vink just maintains the pace, she maintains her head, she keeps everything all aligned, everything will be fine. The chasing group of 9, though, they are seriously going to be doing some battling.
They are, and they're being closed down, because we can just see here the Category 1 leaders with an attack from Celine Colombi on this turn. This spiral is the last ascent pretty much until we come in towards our finish here on the MyWhoosh, so the race club. The riders coming over the top here. You saw Colombi attack, you saw Furrer answer it. Erahek is the rider at the moment who is having to answer, who's been distanced a little bit. It's only a second or so. So Erahek out of our shot here. She's just behind Furrer. She's just behind Colombi. And they're only about 9 seconds behind the group in front. If they motor on, they could be right up behind the chasing group that we just had on our screen.
Yeah, well, you know, this course has given us sprint after sprint after sprint before, and we have had packs of riders come into the finish line in that concertina in the last 2 to 3 kilometres of this race. So I think you may be right, Matt. I think we may be seeing some sprints today, but which group comes in first is going to be really interesting. Are we going to see Vink come in before the rest, or are we going to see this Category 1 race field charge towards the finish line? They may be charging towards the finish line, but my money, I think, is on Ella Vink coming over the line at the head of this race today.
Yeah, she's not got very far to go. 1,500 metres for Ella Vink. It's just that bit further for these riders behind, and it could be enough. And I think what we're going to find is people start concentrating on their race position rather than the chase, because with such little distance to go, with such a big time gap, Ella Vink knows now she should just have to cruise her way in through. She's come down, she's going past the pen, she's going to take that left hand bend, right hand, and then the climb up. Now let's give you a heads up, when this comes to a sprint finish, it is going to be absolutely frantic, particularly in the riding group that is on the left of your screens. Ella Vink, one rider, Not a problem. We're going to be able to call that. When we get to the finish, we have potentially got the leaders of category 1, 2, and 3 all going to be together coming into that. So we will try and call every single rider.
Bring it
Apologies
on.
now if we don't mention your name coming over the live first, because you know what? I have a sneaky feeling we're going to get about 11 riders coming in.
My view.
All in one go.
Come on, let's go.
Definitely.
Take it to the line.
Because this really mixes up. This is great racing because the riders in there now have to think. I love it when our riders have to think. They've got to think about their position. But not just their position, the position of everybody else in their category, and the riders that are coming up in another category, which will affect it.
And those riders who don't want to take anybody into the sprint, are we going to see a long attack? Are we going to see everybody happy just to go for the sprint at the end? It is going to be really interesting. This final kilometre or two, this is the leaders in the category 1 race, Fua, Columbi and Herivek. They are now up and on to the back of the chasing group of 8 riders. So that ahead, the leading 2 riders in category 2, the chasing group in category 3, because the category 3 rider is the only rider now left off the front of this group, and it's Fua and Columbi. Herivek just off the bat there as the push from Columbi to go through, and Fua pushing through there really strongly. Columbi kicking at nearly 6 watts per kilo as we shoot back in with Ella Vink. She's 2 minutes up the road from the fast and furious panic we've got going on behind us. Vink moving up onto the climb.
So here we go, Ella Vink making her way up the climb, coming in to the finish, making her way to complete her race here in category 3. She attacked, she climbed better than the rest. She has stayed clear of the attentions behind. She knows that she can now cruise into that yellow MyWhoosh banner that signifies the finish and comes out in front of her now. This is the run that the rest of the riders will have to take on. They're going to have to climb up. This is not a pure sprinter's finish because of that ascent and because it continues to ascend all the way into that UCI banner. That means that we are hitting the finishing line here as we come in. Ella Vink takes the win. Qualifier race number 1, solo victory. It's a sweet victory for Ella Vink here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
So Ella Vink in 1. We've got Fua and Columbi coming in side by side. They're at the top of the climb. Fua's pushing at 6.6. Celine Columbi 8 watts per kilo. These two are going to come around the corner and see that yellow finish banner. It's Fua pushing on. Columbi is on her wheel. Then it's Smithers with Garcia in the category 2 race. They are absolutely pushing here. Fua has gone at 11 watts per kilo. I think she's got Columbi. So Fua has gone at 11. She's going to take this in across the line for the category 1 win. Garcia and Smithers are side by side. I think Garcia took that in the category 2 race.
So Fua from Columbi coming in to the finish. Herivek should come in for 3rd place in category 1. It's going to be Garcia and Smithers coming through in the chase. Then category 2, Vink taking away the win in category 3 from Arias and De Silva. That you can see all our riders pretty much in those top 3 categories coming through at the same time. Don't forget, you can get all of the results which are live at the moment on the MyWhoosh website. It's mywhoosh.com/results. All the results are live. They'll become unofficial at the end of the race, and then they will be verified, and that is when we get the final results. We know who will have won the fantastic prizes here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's been an absolutely cracking race. This course lives up to expectations yet again. Our top 5 riders in category 1, it's Catherine Furr in 1, Celine Columbi in 2, Martina Herivek in 3, it's Cornelia Engstrom in 4, Madana Dega-Mashandi in 5, then Koisten, Kasani, Van Hove and Bassoni coming through in the positions in 6, 7, 8 and 9. So some of our new riders mixing it up inside the top 10. A massive thank you to Lisa Hermansen, who is on her way into the finish. She has been down in the MyWhoosh HQ, down in the studios, and has been riding and giving us that fantastic insight on just what it takes and the contrast between the early stage of the race and the end. So a massive thank you to Lisa Mason and all the team that have made that possible. She's going to come in. I think we're just trying to work out the positions at the moment. I suspect it's going to be top 15 or so for Lisa Hermansen, which is great to see that progression. She's moved up from category 2. Don't forget, you can come and join us. Make sure you go onto mywhoosh.com, download on iOS, on Android, and of course on a Windows system. The more that you jump on and ride, as we have said time and time again, the better. And don't forget, give MyWhoosh a follow on Instagram, MyWhoosh on Facebook, and my_whoosh on X, formerly known as Twitter. We can catch up with Emma. Emma, where can we catch up with you?
Oh, you can find me at Biking Emma as we currently watch Hermansen take the sprint.
Come on, Lisa!
These two are battling neck and neck, absolutely pushing on into the finish line. That's the type of effort it takes, but Lam Kong taking it from Hermansen.
Wow, short sprint, and look at that. You
Great
can tell
job,
she's gone
everybody.
through. Wow, breathing hard there, still spinning the legs just to try and move some lactic acid, just stopping always hurts. Great ride there by Lisa Hermansen to come through. And that's what it takes to come in and through, to race in category 1. But whatever your ability level, whatever you are up to, please do come and join us. We'll be back with the men's race very shortly. However, the next women's race will be in a week's time. Make sure you jump on to Ride In Between. My name's Matt Payne. You can catch up with me at Matt Fixer Payne. You can catch up with Emma at Biking Emma. Emma, the women's race has been an absolute cracker again on Australia. Do you think it's one of your top 3 courses?
I do like the racing in Australia. I think the Australian courses create great racing, very different racing to some of the other courses. I'm looking forward to the men's race already.
Indeed, and we're going to be in Australia, so do join us then. We're going to take a quick break, but from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin, from, of course, all of the amazing team behind the scenes who make it all happen. Stay safe. We'll see you again. Goodbye.